welcome to Bars and Bells. In this practice, we'll be exploring our split positions, the position of our hips, as well as some core stability. We have yoga blocks off to the side to bring the floor up a little bit. A pillow or some books will serve you well to keep that nice hip position throughout our splits. Let's get started.
Working from the 90-90 to start. From a position similar to this on the ground, stack the elbow underneath the shoulder, ankle at 90, knee 90, hip at 90 in regards to the torso, and those same positions out the back. Modify your head and neck to look at your elbow if you need, but keep that sternum facing forward. First, pull in that bottom leg, this is my left, compressing into the hip socket. Then push from the buttocks, extending the hip on the top forward. Hold for time, relax your effort, and repeat once more. Pull in on the bottom hip, extending the top hip forward. Now, in that position down low, rotate the upper body towards the floor. At your end range, take a breath in, exhale to return to where we've been before. Calibrate that top hip is in extension, the bottom hip is pulling in, and for one more time, add that upper body rotation, and then press back to center. Now at that top hip, open the knee away from the floor, keeping the hips pressing forward. Feel that lateral butt cheek squeeze and work, and slowly return to the ground. Then lift the ankle away from the floor in the back, internally rotating on the top hip, and slowly return to the floor. Repeat one last time, maintaining strong postures to the upper body. We'll open up away from the ground on the bottom, keep that hip pushing forward on the top, slowly return to the floor. Last time, rotate in on the hip, an internal rotation to lift the ankle away from the floor, politely burn those lateral butts, and slowly return to the ground. From there, press the floor away, swivel around, and repeat on the other side. My bottom of the foot here is lined up approximately with the shin on the other side, and then 90 and 90s on the knees and those hips. Square up that the shoulders are stacked over top, and then compress in on the bottom leg, extending that top hip forward. Hold for time, maintain your breath, and relax. Repeat one last time as we compress in on the bottom leg and extend with a butt squeeze on the top. From there, rotate through the torso, sternum pointing towards the floor. Take a breath in. Exhale and press away. Strong posture through the core. Repeat one last time with that top hip staying forward. Add that upper body rotation. Press away, returning center. Now with that top hip forward, we'll lift the knee away from the ground here. Woo! Feel a little tightness in those lateral hips, and slowly return to the floor. From there, internally rotate on the hip as to lift the ankle away from the floor. Hold for a second longer, and return like it's easy. We both know it's not. From there, last time, rotate open from the floor, forward in the hips, slowly return to the ground. And for the last one here, internally rotate on the hip, lifting the ankle, keeping the hip in extension, and slowly returning to the ground. From here, we'll take a quick detour in those wrists and working through our tailbone shape.
Coming to all fours, we'll start in our wrist extension, we'll explore our low back position, and then we'll go for an elephant crawl. With our hands underneath our shoulders, our elbows nice and straight, and our shoulders packed. Start pulling the floor together underneath you. As you do that, allow your low back to slightly round. Now start pressing the floor away from center and allowing the low back to tilt tail long to the ceiling. One more time each way. Use your core to pull and tuck those hips under, and then slowly press away, extending through the tailbone. I want you to keep this shape as we gently lift the knees away from the floor and press towards that down dog or elephant position. With the tailbone tilted long towards the ceiling, Trying to breathe and straighten those knees, we'll take a contralateral step. Opposite hand and foot, stepping at the same time, placing down. Stepping and placing. Again, trying to keep that tail long to the ceiling. As we progress our splits, this is a very important part of them. Let's take about 4 more steps. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on down, knees find the floor, pressing away, taking some time off those wrists, shaking it out, and we'll find our 90-90 position again.
In that 90-90, working from the elbow. Set up that 90 where that back hip is in extension, the front one compression or sucking in femur bone to hip. Next, extend the leg out front and transition to your front split. At this place, point the toe if we can, maintain dorsiflexion if that's for you, but work on those toe points here. Now, externally rotate in the hip where that inseam faces up, and then internally rotate in the hip, trying to hide that inseam if you're me. Maybe it's a little bit easier for Lauren on that one. Externally rotate one last time, never easy.
Doesn't mean I don't get a little hip cramp.
Right, and then rolling in one last time. From there, transition back to the elbow, bend the leg, and repeat one more time of that hip compression in on the bottom and that hip extension on the top side. Relax the tension away, transition to the other side. Continue to stack the elbow underneath of that shoulder, 90-90, pulling in, pushing through, straighten the front leg, and then transition away to our tall sit. Light tension on the floor here, dorsiflexed ankles towards plantar, and then at the hip, roll the inseam up, check. Roll that inseam towards in, a little tight for yours truly here, and one more time of rolling out, and then rolling in. From there, back to that elbow, bend the knee, and then again, one last go, push that top hip forward and compress in on the bottom side. Hold for time, and one last time on that down dog crawl.
Nice, we'll press the floor away. We'll make our way to all fours again. From here, we're gonna work through our down dog and then walk out to a plank. Get that core fired up here too. With your hands underneath your shoulders, gently tilt your tail to the ceiling as we've practiced. From there, toes tuck, knees lift. Take a couple seconds in that down dog position. Our shoulders are elevated into our ears. Our tail is long. We're trying to breathe and press our heels to the floor. Now from here, we'll start pulling the floor together, and you'll drift and you'll pull yourself into your plank position. If you need to adjust your hands and feet, that's okay. Hold, plank, butt squeezed, abs braced. 3, 2, tail tilt to the ceiling, press the floor away back to your down dog. Take a breath. Try to straighten those knees. Pull yourself back through to your plank. 5 second only, but intense. Go. Squeeze, brace, pull the floor. Couldn't move you if I tried. Press forward to lift your hips to the ceiling. Tail is long. One last time through that plank. Pull yourself through. 5 seconds of butt squeezes. Abs braced, shoulders down. 3, 2, knees find the floor. Press away, shake it out. And here's where you'll need some blocks, some books.
Those yoga blocks. Bringing the floor up will be nice and advantageous to help us with that split. In our splits, we're aiming to keep one leg as much forward as we can and the other straight back, like a pair of scissors. Bringing up the floor, hands on. Wrists will be in extension, neutral wrists could be appropriate too. Here we'll have extension. From this position, just set up in your lunge and your blocks might come with you here. Then, extend the leg out front, slowly straightening out that knee. Then, place the blocks in a place advantageous for you. Mine is a little bit lined up with my knee. At this place, I'll keep the dorsiflexed ankle shape and continue to push this hip forward as I compress or pull in on that front leg. Hold for a second, catch your breath, and then just take the edge off a little bit. From here, could you move your back knee towards the back? An inch, just a little bit. Then from that same position, we're pressing that back hip forward, compressing in on the front side, and holding for 10. Breathe over top of that.
We also have that pelvis position we've been practicing today, so that tailbone gently tilted away from you.
Stay there for a second longer, and then just relax the effort that's required to be there. Slight rounding would be appropriate, but before we go into the next round, we'd get that anterior tip of the pelvis. We might lift that knee towards the back a little more, and for 10 more seconds, continuing to straighten out the front leg, pulling the front leg in as that back leg continues to extend forward. From here, very slow, just pull the front leg towards a lunge position, then just extend through, add the wiggle, and repeat on the other side. I again will take my yoga blocks with me here, just so I can set them up in a nice place. From here, wiggle, heel toe, the leg out front. I have to hinge and I'll place my yoga blocks down somewhere soon. From here, I'll have my straight leg out front and the anterior tip of the pelvis as to spill, punch out the front or tip the tailbone to the ceiling. From here, we've started our 10 seconds and throughout we have our very straight leg in the front and then that hip extension in the back. Hold for a second longer, relax the tension.
This is hard.
This is tougher on this side. Then lift the back knee a little bit, move it back. The littlest margin will be alarming quite often. Dorsiflex on the ankle, straighten the knee, compress or pull in on this front leg while we're extending the back hip forward. Never let this take your breath away. Keep the shoulders out of the ears and Lauren's cue for that tailbone. Keep that in mind too. Relax the effort a little bit. I'm overselling my round, but a little rounding shape is probably likely. Before we go again for the last one, we extend, chin tuck, straight leg. We might lift that back knee 1 millimeter more, and then compress in as I pull in on this front leg, into the hip. If that's a slurping sound, then a hip extension sound is the other one. And for 5 more seconds, continue that tension. And then slowly bring the knee into flexion and to tall. We could add more sets and reps, but practice those exercise basics, those skills and drills to help our and your splits practice.
Thanks for joining us. Keep practicing, stay strong, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.